Bum 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 bum. Irving. Irving walked into the door to his aunt's place and was greeted with a sea of faces, all family and friends. He put his hand over his forehead, knowing this wasn't some surprise party. But it was a surprise. They were doing an intervention. 1,000 pleading of change your life, think of your health, family, and future weakened Irv's defense to object. All of his family and half of his friends demanding a change for the better, he couldn't disappoint. Irv was whisked away to a Poconos cabin of some sort with other addicts. A week and a half of constant NA later, and he's ready to return home. A hospital environment with lunch and dinner times and circle discussion rooms, it was what it was. No genuine promise of change, no real sense of his family's concern. The people at the place discharged him and he back to his aunt's crib. Irv's aunt expecting a dramatic difference, so he explained that it worked. It was bullshit, Irv decided. I gotta hide this shit better, he thought. To him, it was barely an issue. To others, Irv had betrayed all of his dreams to shoot and snort. Why did Irv use? His aunt was a respected person in the community. He was handsome. Was it the peers, the shortcomings of life, and escape? His aunt maybe lived a too rigid, pious life. Church, church, church. It drove the youth to drugs and violence. To be stuck in the sanctimonious lies of a church facade, it drove them to drugs. The laws seemed repressive. There was never an escape. For him, it was a religious house. Irv was hooked to the embrace of freedom, not coke or anything. He still had to hide things from mom or whatever. He was a fiend to people though. No one was getting to any point of understanding that he was rebelling against his family or nothing. He just making his aunt look bad. Fucking dickhead. What was so street about him? She put all that energy into this fuckhead and he never delivered, like ever. Fucking ass nigga. They were lightly funny and rude but honest. Son's mom had done all she could and decided to give custody to her sister in an agreement many years ago. Her sister also did all she could. They were extremely pious and dedicated to God and his angels. They turned their children against them. It's another level. Irv just worked on the freedom. If it would come from drugs or leaving the city, he would do it. The issue was freedom and the household law. He would help his aunt at her church. They would visit the shelter and hospitals with gift bundles, towels, toothbrushes, and shirts and stuff. Just regular things that people need. During the week, he would be some sort of aide to the pastors, not a secretary, but like a runner of some sort, a driver. Irv would drop people to their ministries and move off a dispatch system between the secretarial staff and driver. He used to snort in that van, but his aunt and all of her people pleading to change his life stopped that. He a guy who had to have a drug, but his aunts didn't get that. Irv called women he was talking to in his downtime in the van. The phone ring for church. He shoot across town to pick up this person and drop off that person. Everybody knew his business with the drugs, even if they weren't at the outreach. An old lady visiting her friend in the hospital exposed that to him on one drop-off. You still on the drugs, Irv? Oh Lord, doing all those drugs like that. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I need the drugs to deal with old ladies like you. Oh, you need to respect me. See, I'm a senior citizen. You're right, but that's none of your business. My aunt dragging a family issue into the streets, he thought. Ali, all day he's smiling and brushing off inquiries into an addiction he didn't even really have. Exhausted, Irv lit up a marijuana-filled blunt wrap. Surely, eyes red like fireballs, the same old lady had finished checking up on her loved one. Oh Lord, you still on the drugs? Look, lady, I'm exhausted. I'm bringing people to and fro all day, here to there. I'm not on anything. Well, okay. Weed is barely the concern. The worry of Irv's aunts was heavy drugs, needles, rocks, and powder. Weed? Boy, please, his aunts would have thought. If her baby boy lit a doobie from time to time, she was hip. She understood that. Some people were psycho and couldn't even understand weed. Some of the youth from the shelter went to the Bible study on Wednesdays. Brother Irv with the coke head swerve. They would greet him like that and fall out with laughter. The old ladies would be gossipy and mistrusting. The kids would tease him all the way to their destination. He was high by then, so he didn't have too much to say. Most of Irv's day was parked in front of the church, shelter, hospital, old folks' home, and people houses. People were a headache, but it wasn't the worst job. At least the church pays me, he thought. Most of the infrastructure was volunteerism, family favors, and court-appointed community service. Irv sighed, hunched over the van steering wheel like a rubber pillow. I know church family means well, but shit, man. Irv would always feel sick by the shifts and light up to spare him of the harder drugs. He fell asleep listening to NPR and came to when the study group finished. Everyone piled into the van and talked, chattered, and bickered on the way back to the shelter. End of the day had Irv tired and thinking, how am I supposed to hold it down with days like this, he thought. Sober up to that point, dry turkey for 3 weeks and 8 hours. Irv scooped the last of his coke and snorted it up his brain. No one saw him using again. One little pickup and I'll chill, he thought. He meant that too. At first, Irv decided to keep it low and use in secret, but he thought of his aunt Karen and going to all the trouble, so he decided to sincerely stop altogether. Irv did dry things. He went where there weren't going to be heavy drugs and basically stayed at home. This type of work and chill went on for months, and he fell off the wagon again. On a particularly bad day with the old ladies and the displaced youth, Irv called his man for a bag to snort. Ring, ring. His dealer lived in an area that had become very hot, but Irv didn't notice. Bang, bang, bang on the door. He walked up to cop and money exchanged hands when a detect car came barreling down the back alley street. Irv rushed up the block to his van and ducked under the cover, slid the seat back, and waited for a half hour. It was quiet after a while of them halfway scouring the alley for dropped drugs and fiends to cop. His friend texts his phone. The area hot, dog. Forgot to tell you. LOL. The area hot, dog. Forgot to tell you. LOL. Irv drove back to the church and studied the package. Snort. Irv snorted the bag and almost died. Something was wrong with it. It wasn't the good coke that his dealer usually had. The dealer texted him. Good, huh? Had to switch it up on him. Irv convulsed in a chair and foamed at the mouth due to a seizure. He lay there sprawled out in the front seat, taking frantic breaths of air, holding on. One of the girls from the Bible study seen him and grabbed the keys, rushed him to the hospital. He really almost died if she hadn't seen him. Irv's aunt was disappointed in his backsliding, but happy he was still alive in the hospital. Auntie, I've been trying, but these damn old ladies and the orphans are giving me grief all day. I need to pick me up on the crazy days, he said. She stared blankly because she had tried all she could. Auntie, I'm done, I swear, he said. He was full of it before, but the conviction in his voice this time made her feel it. Irv wanted a change. His aunt wanted a change, and he would beat his habit that day. Irv quit the drugs and got one of the young girls from the shelter pregnant. They married, and he never brought drugs back into his life. He still smoked weed if people were being a headache, but the courts legalized weed nationally that year. The end. Heroin, powder, and crack are ruining the pleasure centers in your brain. It floods dopamine from one neurotransmitter to the other in the brain. These receptors are rewarding agents in the brain for instinctive survival things for the species like sex, eating, and socializing with others. When these receptors get flooded with dopamine, it is the effect of feeling high, and it ruins the original function of the pleasure centers. You need That's what makes fiends stay natural. Fuck drugs. You need it. That's what makes fiends stay. You need it. That's what makes fiends stay natural. Fuck drugs.